Hello and welcome to Youngstown Playlist, a show dedicated to highlighting local musicians right here in Youngstown, Ohio. Music is constantly changing, and musicians often evolve as well. Today we're talking to a group that knows all about adapting their sound and growing as a band. Here is Model Rockets.
Up your bags and left home about 2 years ago, and I know that I'm being selfish, it's probably stupid, hoping that you'll come around. But I've been running from something that I don't know that I can get away from. You were always better than me at fighting the monsters off. Somebody a four-letter word that describes them so easily. I was never much good at expressing my thoughts outside of ink and paper, but I've been running from something that I don't know that I could get away from. You were always better than me at fighting the monsters off, but I feel it creeping through my fingers up my spine, and I know I can't hide, they might get me this time. I've been running from something that I don't know that I could get away from. You were always better than me at fighting the monsters off. Feel it creeping through my fingers up my spine, and I know I can't hide, they might get me this time. Through my creeping through my fingers up my spine. They might get me. I'll keep fighting the monsters off. I'll keep fighting the monsters off. I'll keep fighting the monsters off. Oh, I'll keep fighting the monsters off.
Some people may or may not know that it's kind of like a new iteration of Colorblind.
Right.
So talk about the evolution kind of going from one form to this current one.
So that kind of happened. He and I were the only, they had played with us before as Colorblind, so they were like unofficial members. He and I were the original Colorblind band, and we were graduating, and he was moving to Pittsburgh. I was uncertain, I still needed like a credit or two to finish up school, and it kind of just got to the point where like, we didn't have set members at that point. We were just having people fill in for shows, and it got to be so stressful. So that was a big part of ending Colorblind. That was the summer of 2017. Yeah, last summer. Yeah. We decided to have a last show. Not to mention, we wanted to rebrand and kind of like, Colorblind we started in high school, so we kind of wanted to like rebrand, branch out. As well as we were getting tons of messages, because there were other bands called Colorblind. So we were tired of getting confused with them. Yeah. It was like a whole big thing. So yeah, there was a bunch of factors that started ending it. And it was actually kind of uncertain whether or not we were going to even play again. But we had recorded an album, and the album we just released in January. We recorded it all and everything, and we were working hard on that. And we still wanted to release it. So the question was, do we release it as Colorblind's final, chapter music, or do we just kind of move it over to a new thing? And eventually, like, he settled in Pittsburgh. I was still here in Youngstown for a while, living at home. He settled with his job, and then he ended up hitting me up over last summer and being like, hey, if you guys are playing again, like, let me know. And so we just kind of chatted about it for a while, and then we were like, let's just do it. You know, like we could figure it out. We'll do it. We'll make it work. It's strange because we just released this album, and now we're kind of trying to phase out a lot of the songs on it. Just because it's the old sound. You know, a lot of those songs I wrote 3 or 4 years ago, which is pretty wild to think about. But yeah, so it's kind of been strange for us being like, here's our new stuff, but also we don't play it anymore. But it's new, so listen to it.
We hope you like it. You're probably not going to hear it again.
Yeah, exactly.
Since you're talking about, you know, the difference in writing songs, like one era to the next, what goes into creation of a song as a band? You know, from writing to performing it, working out the sound.
So normally the way that I like the best and that I've found the most successful, because I'm not honestly super like technically musically talented. Like I don't know that much theory, which I really wish I did, and I bought a book, so maybe soon. But yeah, I don't know how to say it. I kind of just write what I'm feeling. That sounds so cheesy, but so I like to write just kind of the basic structure, you know, the bare bones, like the chords and the lyrics. I do, you know, 99% of the lyric writing. So I like to just do basic stuff, the structure, chords, maybe an instrumental or solo here and there. But I feel that I'm not as good as the collective at formatting the song and structuring it. So I kind of bring it to them and say, hey, here's what I've got so far. I'm like, I might have an idea for drums or an idea for bass. And then just they kind of build off of that and make it better, you know. So I'll have like a half-baked song, and then they like add in their little ingredients and everything. And Ryan does a lot more of like the technical side of recording the demos, and he likes to like kind of sit and take his own time to make up his parts and stuff. So that ends up being cool when he can show us like, here's all my parts, when we had no idea what they were going to be in practice.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing we do really well is Fletcher is good about, hey, this is what I have, but I'm not married to it. You're not going to offend me if you don't like this or this certain part. And I think as we've been playing together for, you know, subbing as Colorblind and now Model Rockets, I think we all know kind of each other's tendencies and strengths.
Yeah.
And so when we go to, you know, kind of put our producer hats on and say, all right, how do we think this should sound collectively? I think we've done a really good job of, you know, listening to each other, have a good productive conversation. And it's been pretty impressive how quickly we've been able to take an idea and, all right, we're done. You know,
Yeah.
it's been really fun.
Yeah, the song Monsters that we play today, played or will play, depending on, we've only played it once at a live show, and Ryan doesn't technically even have his parts done. So we kind of winged it, wung it, whatever the word is.
I definitely
So that's a brand, like we kind of were just like, hey, this is our song, I guess we're done, kind of, you know, so that's a good example of that.
Where do you get most of your influences from? Because like listening to the album, it's like you get thrown back to like the mid 2000s era, which makes sense. So
Like,
talk
we
about
have-
influences and
Yeah, we as a band, I think, are really diverse in what we listen to. Like, we have a lot of similarities and overlapping things,
Yeah.
but we all really have very individual tastes. So, I mean,
Definitely.
It comes from a lot of different things coming together, and I think that's why it's an approachable sound.
Originally, we started like as a very pop punk band in high school. Very, you know, Blink-182, Motion City soundtrack, kind of the happier stuff. And I wanted to get out of the pop punk world only because there's a lot of bands I still love that are pop punk, but
This is growing up.
yeah, you know, like I also wanted to write different stuff, you know, and get kind of out of that niche. So that was part of the name change thing again, that going back into that. So a lot of the old influence was Blink-182, Brand New, stuff like that. And now we've kind of like diverged into more of like the Killers, Manchester Orchestra. I listen to a lot of Kevin Devine and artists like that. Kind of the indie rock, rock and roll type stuff. And then, like I said, all of our influences kind of add into that. It ends up being a cool, like in the middle sound, I think, where it's kind of like rolling and kind of we can get angry, but it's not, you know, super angry.
your sound finds that middle ground.
Yeah, I think so. To where our moms are comfortable listening to it.
Hey, you got to pass the mom test.
And I think that's something that, you know, Fletcher does a really, really good job at. Of his writing is very emotional, and I don't mean that in like a emo way, but it's like he can really write lyrics that are relatable, but just because it might be a song, for example, Cold Hands, that is a more serious issue, kind of dealing with depression, how you fight that or deal with kind of your inner demons, but it's a kind of poppier, upbeat sound that goes with it. And I have said this before, and I've gone on record, but I think Fletcher's probably like one of the best like songwriters I've ever got to play with or work with, and in this area. And you know, when you're leaving band practice with little Fletcher lines like in your head all day, like that's a good thing. Yeah. But no, I think it's really fun to have you know, somebody who can write songs that are relatable and you can deliver them in a genuine way. And I think that's why we've been so successful so far, is because there's something for everybody, whether it's things you're dealing with in your personal life, or, you know, friends that are dealing with it, or, you know, you just want to come dance around. You know, there's a little bit of something for everybody, and I think it meets them on all levels.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the goal of Model Rocket's new style, is like, I don't want to write anything that sounds depressing or makes you sad. So I sort of want the goal to be uplifting, even if like you said, the subject matter is very serious. So a lot of our newer stuff deals with a lot of personal issues, as opposed to, you know, relationships or girls or parents or whatever that we used to write about. It's very introspective, but I didn't want it to be like, look at me, I'm sad kind of deal, which is fine. Some bands really pull that off. But like I said, I wanted it to be like an uplifting experience, and kind of the dancey stuff, like he said. Kind of, you're like, you know, like dancing it off, you know, laughing it off, kind of deal. I wanted people to come away feeling good, as opposed to feeling sad.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, you're leaving a show, man. I guess they were good.
Like, I don't want to bum people out.
I don't know anything anymore.
Yeah, I think that's horrible. Like, you should leave a show feeling great, no matter what the subject matter is, I think.
Yeah, and I think changing kind of the lyrics, being more introspective, that just goes with, like you said, growing up. Just
being honest.
Being aware of the stuff that you're putting out and the tone that's coming across.
And it definitely helps me as a person, like as a human being outside of a band, like writing about stuff that I, you know, feel has helped me to express it more. So I think it's helped me in both, like, you know, girlfriendy relationships and friend relationships, as I am more, I think, in touch with my feelings. So it's helped me personally, for sure.
That's our show. I want to thank Model Rockets for talking to us and playing for us. A huge thanks to Suzie's Dogs and Drafts downtown location, and thank you for watching. Be sure to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss another episode. See you next time.
If you're in a band, be prepared to bring your own gear. You can do it. I trust you. I believe in you. That's my PSA. Bring your drums. I want a rainbow graphic. Yeah. We passed on the royal wedding to be here today. Yeah. So
No idea.
Yeah.
How much I appreciate that.
That was a really tough call, but
Meghan Markle she was not happy.
yeah, no, but
Isn't that her name?